Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Pankaj Madan from Faculty of Management Studies, Gurukul Kangdi Vishwavidyalaya, Haridwar. Today we are going to talk on module forecasting and time series analysis. Forecasting methods, time series analysis under the paper quantitative techniques for management decisions. After the completion of this module, the student will understand the pattern of existing data and how to conclude the pattern of the future. He will also gain the general understanding of time series forecasting techniques. Forecasting is a major tool for managerial decision making. Managerial decisions are difficult to be made in absence of some form of forecasting. Every day, managers have to take decisions in the face of uncertainty without knowing what would happen in the future. For example, keeping inventory without knowing what the sales will be, or buying an equipment and machinery having no knowledge about the demand of the products, and also making investment in shares by fund managers when no one knows what profits are going to results. The managers strive to reduce this uncertainty and make better estimates of what is likely to happen in the future. This is what the forecasting aims to accomplish. Thus, whether it is inventory control, marketing strategy formulation, or financial planning, production planning, or any other such area of operations, manager have to employ the tool of forecasting. While forecasting can be in relation to anything, our focus here is only demand forecasting. Timings of forecasts. Forecasts are basically divided on the basis of time and their uses. Few of the forecasts are of a very short range forecast, and the forecast maybe is for a year or less than that. For example, it is used for a job assignment. It can also, or the forecast can also be about the workforce level. Now, this workforce level can change within a month, they can change quarterly, they can change on the monthly basis. Therefore, this kind of prediction or this kind of forecast is said to be a short range forecast. The second type of forecast is a medium range forecast, and medium range here means the forecast is for 1 to 3 years, and this type of forecast is used, or this time is used for forecasting the sales, or it can be used for production planning. Why? Because it is a forecast which is mostly used by a manufacturing company where they are trying to align these forecasts with their company goals or objectives, and especially the figures of their production or their sales. The third is a long range forecast, and a long range forecast is more than 3 years forecast. This type of forecast is used for R&D purpose. It is used for establishment of a new plant, or it can be used for forecasting an economic data in a 5-year planning. If we are doing a forecast for a GDP or the growth rate or some other economic data, it may vary from a medium range to a long range depending upon the variables which is being considered in forecasting. Forecasting is done using variety of techniques and models. So if we broadly classify, or the forecasting techniques can be divided into two categories. One is qualitative and another is quantitative models. So if we talk about forecasting techniques of qualitative type or the forecasting models of qualitative types, then it uses the Delphi method, the Salesforce composite method, or a consumer panel survey. On the other side, if we talk about the quantitative models or the quantitative methods of forecasting, it can be divided into broadly two parts. One is the time series based, in which time is the main criteria, and another is the casual models, in which the relationship between the variables or the effect or the impact is the main criteria. So if we talk about the time series models, then we have in that moving averages model, exponential smoothing, and trend projection. And within moving average, then you have semi-moving average, weighted moving average, 3 years moving average, 4 years moving average, like that. If we talk about the qualitative models use personal judgment and involve qualities like intuition and experience as the basis for forecasts and are subjective by their very nature. On the other hand, quantitative models are more objective in nature and they employ numerical information as the basis of forecasts. I have already told the qualitative models include the Delphi method, Salesforce composite method, consumer panel survey, personal opinion, and market research. Some of the qualitative methods of forecasts are Delphi method. Delphi method, perhaps the most important method of forecasting involving judgments, is called Delphi method. The method is an interactive group process and it employs a group of experts, not an oracle, to obtain forecasts. The experts are usually not known to each other and their interactions takes place through a coordinator. The other participants in Delphi process are the staff and respondents. The staff personnel assist the experts by preparing, distributing, collecting, and summarizing and tabulating the data, while the respondents are the subjects whose judgments are valued and are being sought. In this method, the coordinator obtains the forecast from the experts and then assimilates each of their forecasts. Each of the experts who estimate is not included in the middle 50% of the forecast is asked to explain the analysis underlying the forecast. The coordinator disseminates to each expert a summary of all the forecasts and of the explanations of forecasts that lie outside the middle 50%. Based on this additional information, each of the experts may revise his or her original forecast. After repeating this process approximately or appropriately doing this process, the expert tend to reach a consensus forecast as a group. If we talk about the Salesforce composite method, then in this method of demand forecasting, each of the members comprising sales force of a company is asked to estimate the likely sales in their respective areas. The estimates are then reviewed to ensure that they are realistic. After this, the estimates are combined at the district, regional, and national level to obtain the overall forecast of the company. Another kind of qualitative forecast is consumer panel survey. Some marketing research methods employ consumer panels for making forecasts. Here, a consumer panel is maintained and consumers on such a panel are questioned about their purchase plans. The goal here is to forecast demand for products and services based on the subjective judgment of the subjects involved, like about their possible purchases. This method works on a strong assumption that the consumers on the panel are the true representative of the ultimate purchasers. Now let's talk about the quantitative models. The quantitative models, I have told you, can be subdivided into two parts or the two types of model. One is time based and another is relation based. So the time based models are called as time series models and the relationship based models are called as causal models. The time series models attempt to predict the future values using the historic data. In such models, the demand forecast is done based on the past demand values. They hold the future to be a continuum of the past and are based on the premise that whatever would happen in the future is a function of what has happened in the past. They therefore evolve predicting for future in keeping with the past behavior. Time series methods include moving average, trend projection, and exponential smoothing. On the other side, if we talk about the causal model is used where one variable is related to other and therefore dependent upon the values of some other variables. For example, the demand for a product may be dependent upon the price charged, amount spent on advertisement, income of the people, and so on. The analysis is done in terms of what is called as regression analysis. The causal model analysis techniques are known as simple regression or multiple regression. In simple regression, you have many independent variable and one dependent variables, and in multiple regression you may have multiple independent variable and multiple dependent variables. Let us know what is time series. A time series is a set of measurement of variables that are ordered through time. The time variable does not fluctuate by chance, but it moves consistently always in the same direction from past to future. Thus, we can exercise some freedom of choice as to the times at which the observation can be made. The time series data are gathered on a given variable characteristic over a period of time at regular intervals. So, it can be concluded that it is a set of data depending on time. It is a series of values over a period of time. It can also be said a collection of magnitudes belonging to different time periods of some variables or composite of variables such as the production of steel, per capita income, gross national income, the price of tobacco or sugar, or index of industrial production. Time acts as a device to set a common stable reference point in forecasting. In time series, time acts as an independent variable to estimate dependent variables. What are the examples of time series? Stock prices or Sensex, exchange rates in 5 years or 10 years, the interest rates, the inflation rates, the national GDP in the due course of time or in the 5 years or 10 years. Then yes, retail sales is again the day-to-day sales in a mall or a retail store is again a time series data. Then yes, consumption of power by a company or by a state or a house in a duration is also a time series data. Then yes, number of accidents in a month or in a year is again a time series data. Now let's see what are the components of time series. Time series has four components. First is secular trend or a trend. Now what is trend? A type of variation in time series that reflects a long term movement in time series over a longer period of time is known as a secular trend. And mostly these types of trends are seen in the vehicles or equity prices or the performance of a company or even the performance of a sector. Second is the seasonal variation or fluctuation, a type of variation in time series that shows a periodic pattern of change in time series within a year is called a seasonal variation. And this fluctuation or variation can be a weekly, a daily, or a monthly. But this pattern or the seasonal variation is repeating or get repeated from year to year. Like the sales of the winter clothes or the woolen clothes, year by year, it increases in the winters, and the sales of the umbrella or the raincoat or the rainy shoes, it varies in the rainy season. It is very high in the rainy season. And in the Indian context, if you see the sales of the vehicles, the two-wheelers and four-wheelers on the festivals, it increases manyfold on a particular day. Next is the cyclical variations or fluctuation, a type of variation in time series in which the value of variable fluctuate above and below a trend line is known as cyclical variation. A business cycle may fluctuate in length, usually more than a year, but less than 5 to 7 years. The movement is through four phases, that is from peak, which is called as prosperity, to contradiction, that is recession, to trough or the depression, or the expansion, which is also known as recovery or growth. So different cycles are there for different performance of different sectors and different companies, and sometimes the pharma and IT is high, and sometimes the service sector, advertising or education stocks are showing a variation, and we say that yes, it's a cyclical fluctuation. There are another type of variations, what we call it as a irregular variation, a type of variation in a time series that reflects the random variation of the time series values, which is completely unpredictable, is known as irregular variation. And you can also compare this with change in the economic data due to of a country due to war or due to some natural disaster like an earthquake or a flood. And since it is a one time activity, or you can say irregular activity, and the variations are also said to be irregular. Let's see what is the importance of time series. Now, time series is again a very popular tool of business forecasting. It helps in understanding the past behavior. It helps in predicting the future operations. It helps in evaluating the current performance or accomplishment. It also facilitates the comparison between the two data, and it helps in estimation of the trade cycles. There are various causes for variations in time series data, and this can be due to some social customs, maybe some festivals, maybe this can be a seasonal variation, or it can be a cyclical variation, or it can be due to sudden irregular events or changes, or a political movements, or the natural changes or the natural disasters like flood or drought or an earthquake. Now in the next question you can see, find the linear trend to the data given in the table below and also find the sales for the year 1980. In this, you can see the years are given and their sales are given in lakhs, and the same way you have assumed X and you have taken 5 values above and 5 values below the 1973, and then you have derived an equation with A is equal to 18.78 and B is equal to minus 0.21. So when you put a value of X there, you get a value of Y, and like that you can find out, since the value of the trend value of 1973, it comes out to be 18.78, you can easily calculate the value of 1980, because you have value of 18.78 plus 0.21 into, after 5, 1978 has a value of X as 5. So 1979 will have a value of X as 6. And in 1980, the value of X will be 7. So putting that value of 7 in place of X, in 1980, you get the equation, and value calculated, or the trend value is 17.31. Like that, you can also calculate the parabolic trend using these equations. Moving to the next question, the table given below refers to yield per hectare of a certain food grain in an Indian state during 1970 to 1978. Find the length of the cyclical fluctuations. So in the year 1970, the actual yield was 17.1. Then we found out the estimated yield. Then we found the percent of trend, that is y upon y calculated into 100, and then y minus y calculated, and then y minus y calculated upon y calculated, and last is, if we combine this 6 column into 100, we get the relative cyclical residual. The next question shows the seasonal index of quarterly sales of departmental stores, or you need to find out the seasonal index of quarterly sales of departmental store by method of ratio to moving average. Now in this case, 1974 to 1978, 4 quarters sales is given, and you have to find out the seasonal index. This is again an interesting question, and you can rewrite the tables of each year into this form, in which first column shows the year, second column shows the quarters, and third column shows the sales in each quarter. Then you can find out 4 quarter moving total. So if we add the 4 and divide by 4, it's the total. This is not the average. And if you divide, next column is 4 quarter moving average. If you divide it by 4, you get 25.53 divided by 4, it is 6.38. In the sixth column, which is centered 4th quarter moving average, you take an average of 6.38 and 6.31, it comes out to be 6.35. And in the last column, you take the ratio to moving average in percentage, and it is calculated by taking the third quarter value of 1974. If you see the first value, then it is the third quarter value 6.11 divided by 6.35, and next is the fourth quarter value 6.33 divided by 6.25 into 100, and it comes out to be 101.3. Like that, you will take different quarter values from the third column and divide them with the center 4 quarter moving average values given in sixth column. Now once you have found out the ratio to moving average in percentage, you have to put down them in a sequence form: 96.2, 101.3, starting from the quarter 3 and quarter 4 of the 1974, from which you have taken the initial value of sales. Now put it in this way, Then you find out the mean of each quarter. Then you take out the total of the means or the grand mean, you can say. And then the seasonal index will be the 400 divided by the grand mean, and the adjustment constant is the 1.0038. So the seasonal constant will be the mean of each quarter into the adjusting constant, that is 1.0038. So you can see that each of the quarter mean is multiplied by this constant and we get a seasonal index here. Now in the next question, you can see the seasonal index is calculated with the help of linked relative method. Here the same 1974 to 1978 the data is given, and you can see the quarterly data given here. Then each quarter you find out first the mean, then taking the first quarter as 100, which is, you can say, as a base index, you find out the relative values of mean in second, third and fourth quarter, and it comes out to be 100 into 89.7, which is the mean of the second quarter divided by 100, and it is 89.7. And in the third quarter again, its mean is 100.4, so 89.7, which acts as a base for fourth one. You see the third relative constant of third quarter is acting as a constant for, or acting as a base for the fourth quarter. So its value is now 97.3. Then we make a corrected chain relative, in which you take since second quarter you minus 25% value, that is 89.7, since it is 100 based values. So for the second quarter you deduct 0.25, for third quarter 0.5, and for the fourth quarter you deduct 0.75. This is corrected chain relative. Then corrected seasonal index become that when you add 100 plus in the corrected chain relatives, when you add 100 plus 87.5 plus 89.6 plus 96.55 divided by 4, the value comes is the average of chain relatives, and you divide each of the corrected chain relative by this average of chain relatives and multiply it by 100, which gives you a corrected seasonal index of quarter 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4, and the values are 93.6, 95.9 and 103.4. So like this, you have seen that we have calculated the seasonal index based on linked relative method, and in the previous question it was the seasonal index was calculated based on the ratio to moving average. So the students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. This module made us know that time series is used in inventory control, marketing strategy, formulation or financial planning, production planning and other such areas of operation. Both qualitative and quantitative tools can be applied in forecasting for managerial decision making. It is essential to make a reliable and accurate estimate of what shall happen in the future in the face of uncertainty. By using this method of forecasting, the managers strive to reduce this uncertainty and make better estimate of what is likely to happen in the future. Forecasting models can be categorized into qualitative and quantitative models. Qualitative models include Delphi method, Salesforce composite method, consumer panel survey and personal opinion. Whereas the quantitative models can be time series based on smoothing, exponential and trend projection models. Casual quantitative models use simple and multiple regression techniques. The business cycles, seasons, local customs and political movements affect the pattern, cycles or trends over a period of time. Thank you very much.